Welcome to A Change of Heart podcast. I'm your host, Angel Jackson. And in this space, we do life together, we grow together, and we heal together. And sometimes that leads to a change of heart. Hey everyone, welcome back to A Change of Heart podcast. I'm your host, Angel, and if you're joining me for the first time, hey girl, welcome to the potty. If you are a returning listener, hey girl, hey, welcome back. So as of now, this episode is either going to be the second to last episode for this season, or there's going to be 2 more episodes. I have a special episode with a special guest that if that's already aired, then there'll be 1 more episode. But if that hasn't aired, then we have the special episode, and then we're going to have the final episode of season 5 that will be coming out. And I hope that you all have enjoyed this season. I hope that it sparked something inside of you that has helped you to really just be intentional about pursuing the thing that God has placed in your heart, pursuing that God vision, pursuing that thing that you know you're supposed to be doing. And so today we're going to talk about what is holding you back. When you think about why you haven't done the thing or all the things, what is it that's holding you back? But before we get into that, girl, let me tell you something. So my girl, let me tell you something for today is going to be very left field. However, y'all, I am knee deep into a murder trial. So I think I've shared before that I really enjoy like true crime podcasts, like criminal justice shows, like CSI, things like that. And I've always said I would love to be a part of a jury. However, because of my profession, I'll always get like kicked out when it comes to selecting jury members for a jury trial. And let me tell you this, one of the greatest things that I came across, I would say last year, I believe, is I'm not a lawyer, but if you follow Melanie Gooseby, she has a podcast called I'm Not a Lawyer, but The Debrief, and she also has TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, and it's I'm Not a Lawyer, but. So sis is not a lawyer, however, but she pretty much sums up like these really good cases and gives you the tea so that you don't have to watch the whole trial. And so she is the reason where I found out about this Karen Reed trial, y'all. And if you don't know about this Karen Reed trial, long story short, very long story short, she is currently on trial for murder for killing her boyfriend, who was a police officer. However, she is pleaded not guilty, and she said that it is a huge cover up. And day 1 of the trial, I was like, girl, stop playing. We day 19, I think. Yeah, we're day 19 of the trial. I think she's right. I think that this is a big cover up, and I don't think sis did it. So I'm like heavily invested in this trial. It's like a whole lot of people that I think really did do it, and they are trying to cover it up and frame her. And I really thought that this was a whole thing of like, girl, just tell the truth. Like, just own it. Be honest. I think that she is telling the truth, and her lawyers are top tier. So it's very interesting. And I've been following I'm Not a Lawyer, but I've been watching it as well, like the actual live murder trial. But it's so interesting. And it's literally so many different twists and turns. You think you know, but then somebody else gets on the stand and it's like, what in the world? It's crazy, but it's so interesting. And we're only on day 19 of like a 6 to 8 week trial. So yeah, I'm knee deep into this murder trial. For anybody who, like I say, if you enjoy like true crime stuff, criminal justice stuff, listen, this Karen Reed trial is a doozy. And the more things that unfold, I'm like, there is no way they're going to find this girl guilty. There's literally way too much reasonable doubt, and literally all of the evidence that has been brought up so far is pointing at everybody except for her. And I'm like, what in the world? And if it really is a conspiracy that they all came together, like law enforcement, the EMTs, it's a whole thing, y'all. Like, it's wild. So as you can tell, I'm like really excited about this, but I'm so far deep into this murder trial. And so that is my girl. Let me tell you something for today. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into today's topic. So a lot of times as we are pursuing purpose, as we are trying to start something new or do something that we haven't done in a long time, there's always going to be reasons as to why you don't start. And a lot of times we allow ourselves to get stuck in that space instead of actually pursuing the thing that we're supposed to. And so as I was thinking about things that I have stalled, things that I have prolonged or delayed, I started to think about what are some of the reasons, like when I actually sit back and think about what are the reasons that I have not given a yes to my purpose, a yes to my destiny. That sounds so heavy when you say it like that. But when you really think about it, what is the reason? What is the thing that has kept you from actually giving God your yes in this season to do the thing that you know is necessary for your health, for your mental health, your spiritual health, your well-being, your business, whatever it is that you know that you have this press, this push that you know you're supposed to be doing it. You know that is not something that you can no longer delay. And so I want to cover a few things. As I always say when I give a list of things, this is not all inclusive. So don't look at this list and be like, oh, Angel didn't say my thing, so I don't have an excuse or I don't have no. Take the time to actually sit with yourself, sit with God, prayer, all of that, and ask yourself genuinely, what is actually keeping me from being who I'm supposed to be? What is keeping me from being the best version of myself? What is keeping me from being the healthiest version of myself? And when I say healthy, that extends beyond just a physical health as well. What are the things that are keeping me from actually putting out whatever it is that I'm supposed to be putting out in this season? What is it that I am allowing my purpose, my dreams, my goals to lay dormant? What is that thing? So let's talk about some things. So I want to kind of briefly go through the things that we have already covered at some point throughout the podcast. It's like, I don't need to harp on this because we already know. So we all know about imposter syndrome. A lot of times we feel like I can't do the thing, I can't be the thing because we feel like a whole fraud. We feel like, well, are people going to be able to receive this from me? Does this even sound like me? Like, what are people going to think? And you feel like you're not good enough or qualified to be able to be and do who it is that you're actually created to be. You realize how crazy that sounds when we say it like that? You feel like you're not qualified or good enough to be who you were actually created to be. That means you were already set up to be this person that you're becoming, but you're rejecting it because you feel like you're not ready or you feel like you're not good enough. Get out of your own way and go listen to the episode on overcoming imposter syndrome, because I know how trippy that can feel when it's like, you know, you can do something, but you also feel like, I don't know. You can. The next thing, fear. We always talk about this. There are going to be some things in your life that you simply just have to do that thing afraid. You have to allow yourself to try something again. You have to allow yourself to do something even when you are afraid of what the outcome is going to be, when you don't know. A lot of times what keeps us from starting is the fear of the unknown. We don't know what's on the other side of our yes. We don't know if anybody's going to show up, if anybody's going to support, even if you're going to actually see it to the end. Just do it. Just start. Don't wait for somebody to tell you, oh, this is how it's going to go. This is how it's going to work out. Sometimes you have to be in a space where you are willing to do something, even if you have a fear of failing at it, even if it doesn't go as planned, because you are capable of doing it. Just because you fail does not mean that erases your ability to ever be able to do that. Who said that? Another one that we talk about is comparison. The thing about comparison is when you compare what's inside of you and what you are supposed to do, what you're capable of doing, what is on the inside of someone else and what they are capable of doing and what they're supposed to be doing, you're always going to feel like there's a deficiency when it comes to you, because you're comparing a gift that isn't yours. You're comparing your capability that isn't yours. So yes, this person over here may be able to do X, Y, or Z, but let's talk about what you're capable of doing. We can get so lost in our thing and starting our thing because we're so busy looking at what other people are doing and then trying to discount or discredit what it is that we're supposed to do. In comparison, it's like, well, they're doing this or they're doing that. But what is the thing that you're supposed to do? Taking comparison off the table, what is it that you're supposed to do? Another thing that we talked about this season is people pleasing. People pleasing will have you stuck in 1993 because you are so worried about what people are going to say, what they're going to think, what their opinion is going to be, how they're going to feel, that you will exalt people's opinions over giving God your yes and what God has told you to do because you're so worried about what people are going to think or what they're going to have to say. You have to understand that there's never going to be a time where God needs someone else to approve of, to give the okay of, to give the yes on what he's called you to do. He literally just needs you to be obedient to the instruction that he gave you. We have to allow ourselves to let go of what people are going to say, think, whatever it might be, because at the end of the day, respectfully, it's irrelevant. Their opinion is never, ever going to matter. It's always going to be irrelevant in comparison to what it is that God has told you to do. So those are the easy ones to address. Let's get down into a little bit more of some nitty gritty. This is one that I've talked about before, but I do want to kind of sit here for a little bit. You have to stop waiting to be motivated. You have to stop waiting to find the balance of things. And what I mean by this is a lot of you have not pursued the thing that you want to do because life is lifing. And I understand, trust me when I say I overstand. When life is happening, you have so much going on. It feels like time is not on your side. You have all of these different factors. And I can even more so understand for those of you who have kids, for those of you who even just are married, that's a shift as well in your time and your ability to do things that are solo focused. I get that. However, also, I think we keep trying to find a balance of how to do things, or we keep trying to wait for motivation to come in order to do something, when in reality, you are going to have to find a way to work some things in. And you're going to have to find a way to press when you don't feel like it, to do some things when it isn't convenient, when it's not really something that you want to do right now. You may not be feeling it on today. And listen, I am 1000% standing 10 toes down behind taking a break, taking mental health days, taking time to actually process, okay, I need to do this, but also I am overwhelmed. I'm overstimulated. I need a moment. Ain't nothing wrong with that. It's healthy to be able to acknowledge that. The thing is, I want us to consider in this desire to find balance in things, in this desire to even seek out motivation, consider how much of your life is out of balance or imbalanced because you have taken on things that you're not even supposed to in this season. How many of you are carrying projects, to-do lists, things on your calendar from last year that God told you to let go of during COVID? How many of you still have things that you are doing, whether it's out of routine, habit, whatever it might be, and you say, I don't have the time, I don't have the energy, I don't have the motivation? Is it that you don't have time for those things? Or is it that your time has been filled with things that have actually ran its course. Your time has been filled with assignments that were due back in 2022, yet you have carried them on and on and on when you need to release them. And I think that's really important for us to consider, because most of the time it's not a time management thing. It's not a balance thing. It's not a motivation thing. It's more so a thing of, what am I continuing to hold on to that the expiration date has already come, yet I'm still dragging it along. I'm still doing this, or I'm still doing that. When it's like, you were supposed to let that go a long time ago. You know that you weren't even supposed to be carrying that into a new year, yet alone 2 more extra years. Sometimes we are burnt out because we are trying to hold on to things, and even sometimes people, we're going to bring that up too, that have expired. The season for it has expired. And so now it feels like a burden. It feels like a weight. It feels like work, because the grace has been lifted in some instances. You weren't even supposed to still be doing that right now, but because you're still trying to force something in this season that should have been let go in last season, you're carrying around an unnecessary weight. In addition to that, something that I don't remember who said it, but I've seen this quote before where it was a girl who said, I don't think it's as much about trying to find balance in life, but trying to find the rhythm. And you have to determine what your rhythm is. So whether you are single, whether you're married, whether you have kids, what is the rhythm? What is the rhythm for your household? What is the rhythm for your day-to-day? What is the rhythm for how you get things done? Because balance is a scam, okay? I feel like balance is a scam, and waiting to be motivated, it's all a scam. At the end of the day, you have to decide, okay, these are the things that I know I have to do, I need to do, I want to do, whatever it might be. How can I work this into the rhythm? Because I also don't want this to be a thing as we are pursuing purpose, as we're pursuing the things that we're supposed to do and being who we're supposed to be. I don't want this to be a thing where that becomes a burden, or where that feels like this is a lot. I don't know how to do this. I feel overwhelmed. Child. It's not supposed to be something that leaves you burnt out. It's not supposed to be something that it's like team no sleep. We're not doing that. Not in 2024. We're going to be well-rested women. We're going to be women who are pursuing purpose, but not to the extreme of no days off, work. That mentality is not healthy. And so I want to be clear that I'm not saying that you need to squeeze every single thing that you possibly can into one day. That's not a healthy mentality. We end up becoming perfectionists. We end up becoming workaholics. That's not healthy. As we are becoming the women who God has created us to be, I want us to be healthy with it. I want our mindsets to be healthy. I want our hearts to be healthy. I don't want it to be a thing of, well, I'm a boss and I got to do this, I got to do that. I'm going to do all of the things and I'm going to work. No, soft life me, please. You can be who God created you to be, and you can pursue purpose, and you can do it in a way that He gives you grace to fulfill it. It doesn't feel like this burden. It doesn't feel like this extra thing that I have to do. It doesn't feel like this weight, because I'm graced for this. I can do this. And there are certain areas of my life that I know I am graced for that thing. I can do this with my eyes closed. I can do this whether I'm prepared or not. There are other areas I got to work a little bit for it. I got to work hard. And it doesn't mean that, because there's a tension there, that's not what I'm supposed to do. But I know that I still have to create a space to grow in that area. I have to create a space to develop that area. And I can do that without putting myself in a position where I'm just work mode. That does not feel good. And that applies to even if it's just like you working out. There are some people who work out for hours upon hours daily. I am not that girl. However, I have made a commitment that I'm going to work out a certain number of times a week. And there have been times where I got a membership at an all women's gym, and I love it there. And although I still don't like working out, but there's classes that I like, and it's like, all right, I can do this. Listen, there are times where I did not feel like going. And there have been times I haven't gone because I've had like a headache or something. But I've been pushing myself like, okay, I don't feel like doing this, but I'm going to go even though I don't want to. That's more so of what I'm referring to. Like sometimes, yes, you're going to have to give yourself that push. You're going to have to force the motivation because it is not always going to be there. And if you wait to be motivated to do the thing that you're supposed to do, it ain't never going to get done. So instead of trying to wait for motivation, instead of trying to find the balance, find the rhythm and be willing to push yourself, not to the extent of you are not rested, you're not taking care of yourself, and it's just go, 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 go mode, but be willing to push yourself in those areas that you don't really feel like it, you're not motivated, but you can give 45 minutes or you can give an hour to this thing. All right, another area that I want to talk about, and let me preface it with this. Not everyone may get it, but for those who get it, you gonna get it. When you find yourself in a space where you feel like you have a noticeable pattern, a consistent area where it's like, I'm struggling with this. This is something I feel like I cannot get past, or this is something that I feel like I'm constantly hitting this roadblock. I want to challenge you in this season specifically. If you are listening to this and you know that this is for you, I want you to seriously start fasting. And when I say fasting, I don't even mean like the cute, like I'm going to fast from social media. You can do that. But I'm talking about like for real fasting, changing your diet, taking periods of time without eating. My reasoning for that is because we do not always consider how much of what we are experiencing really can be a spiritual attack. So there are going to be circumstances where, yes, you not being motivated and whatnot is useless, like, yes, but it very well also can be a spiritual warfare thing. And I feel like a lot of times we do one of two things. We either over spiritualize things or we under spiritualize things. And I'm gonna be real honest with y'all. I am heavy in studying deliverance right now. And with that, there's so many things spiritually that we encounter that happen that a lot of us are allowing ourselves to go through this life. And we are literally just like free targets because we don't take care of our spiritual life. What I mean by that is making fasting a part of your lifestyle, prayer a part of your lifestyle. Because there are some things that are literally attached to your bloodline. There are things that are attached to your name that you ain't had nothing to do with, but because of your parents, your grandparents, your great-great-great-great-great-grandparents, things that they came into covenant with, things that they came into agreement with, that attached on to their namesake, to your bloodline, that is literally a trickle down effect. And for some of you, it's like an area that you may be wanting to break free in is when it comes to your health. And you can look at the different patterns in your family and see like all of the women in my family had this, or all of the women in my family, they struggled with this, whatever it might be. And listen, some things are literally a lifestyle thing, high blood pressure, all that stuff, high cholesterol. That's a lifestyle thing, y'all. Like that's not something that's necessarily going to be a thing of, oh, because my great-great-grandmother and my grandmother and all of them, because they had it, that mean I'm going to have it too. You can make changes to your lifestyle, diet, all of that stuff. I digress. But nonetheless, there are certain areas of your life that you may feel like are constantly under attack. Don't ignore that. And don't look at it as something that's like, oh, well, this is just, it's always something. I feel like, you hear people say, oh, it's always something going on. It's always this. It's always this. I really want to challenge you in this season to get really intentional about fasting. And I know for myself, I do not do well with long fast. So for me, I have to take things at like a week at a time. It's hard for me to stay committed to a 30-day fast, a 40-day fast, a 60-day fast. I literally have to take it 1 week at a time. And maybe that's what you need to do as well. And you do 1 week and then you start the following Monday, renew your mindset, start the following Monday with, okay, I'm recommitting to this fast. Because a lot of times when you have like those long stretched out fasts, it can feel overwhelming. It can feel daunting. Break it up. Do it a day at a time if you have to. Commit every single day, because it's something on the other side of it. And a lot of us are walking around carrying things, having even things attached to us based off of things that we have come in agreement with, that we have come into covenant with, that we don't even realize. I'm going to share a video by Stephanie K where she talks about self-deliverance and things like that and just different prayers for it. I want to encourage you to watch that, listen to it, because I think that it's really important for us to just be aware that while yes, we are here on this earth in our earthly vessel, we very much so are still in a spiritual fight, and there are spiritual attacks, and specifically spiritual attacks that are assigned specifically to you, specifically to your purpose, specifically to your destiny. And I don't want us to remain in cycles where we feel stuck, where we feel complacent, where we feel like we're not seeing change in certain areas, when we have the ability and the authority to be able to shift things. And we have the ability and authority as daughters of God to be able to change things, not just in our life, but also for the generations to come after us. And so I want you to just take some time to consider. You can write this down. I did this for myself. I started to write down, what are areas that I feel like I consistently struggle with? What are things that I see as patterns within my bloodline? What are things that I see as patterns specifically with the women in my bloodline? What are different areas that I feel like I'm always feeling stuck in? It's like no matter what I do, I can't get past it. It doesn't seem like I can get over this hump. Write those things out. And then as you are fasting, ask God to help you, ask God to reveal to you, what is the link to this? What is the cause of this? Is there an area that I need to be delivered from? Is there an area that I need to be healed in? Is there something that I have come in agreement with that is in disagreement with your word, with who you are, God? And if so, help me to lay that down. Bring that to my awareness, because there are a lot of things that we can come into agreement with that we don't even know, that we don't even realize. And we end up becoming in covenant with something that is actually against God. I just want to really encourage you to take some time to really fast and ask God to reveal different areas to you that need to be revealed, and to show you whatever may be hindering you, whatever you need to do to position yourself to actually press through or fight through the spiritual attacks. Because it's a real thing. And there's no reason for us to walk around in bondage, being bound in areas of our life that we have the right to freedom. Like, freedom is literally available to us. Why choose to be bound? Absolutely not. Sometimes we just don't know. But once you know, why choose to be bound when you have access to freedom? All right. So these, like I said, these are just a couple of things to consider when you find yourself in a space where it's like, I don't know what's holding me back. I don't know what's keeping me from pursuing, doing all of those things. These are just some things to get you started. These are some things to get you thinking. But most importantly, I want you to take the time to think about these things for yourself, because nothing is going to be exclusively specific to everyone. So you ultimately have to decide for yourself, what is the thing that's holding me back? What is the thing that is keeping me from starting? What is the thing from keeping me from doing? And listen, I'm going to step on my own toes and call my own self out with this. Some of you, the issue isn't that you haven't started. Some of y'all ain't even sharing or promoting what you did. Okay? And that's for me too, because I ain't promoted this podcast at all this season for real. That's another thing to consider as well. Okay, you did it. Why you ain't tell nobody? Why you ain't share with nobody? Why you ain't, why don't nobody know you got a whole business? Why don't nobody know? Why doesn't anybody know about it? So maybe your thing, you may have felt like you were safe for this episode. It's like, oh, well, I did it. I started, Okay, but does anybody know about it? Are you the best kept secret? I'm just asking. That's something to consider. Maybe you've done the thing, but you haven't actually shared it or put it out there for people to be able to receive it or access it because you're scared of what the feedback is going to be. Go ahead and share that thing. Go ahead and promote that thing. I know it's awkward. That's always been my biggest struggle with doing anything is the promoting it or having to share it aspect. It feels weird. It feels awkward. Do it anyway, child. And as I'm saying that to you, I'm saying that to me too, because I got to be reminded as well. Because like I said, I do not be promoting this podcast. If God has put something on the inside of you that you know is for others, because I know that for some of you, you are in a season where your do the thing is not, it's personal. It's not necessarily a thing of, okay, you do the thing. Now you need to go and tell everybody. You need to run and tell that. Not necessarily. I understand that some of you are in a season where you're doing the thing. It really is a personal project. It really is. Your assignment is you and working on you, getting you to a healthy space. I respect it. I acknowledge it. One thing I know that I'm probably not going to document is my health journey, even though I'm working on it. Because that thing is specific to me. And I ain't trying to be a fitness girly. That's my business. But when you know that God has placed something on the inside of you that is for others, don't sleep on that. Don't play with that. Be intentional about allowing the people who need to receive it, who need to hear it, position whatever it is that you're doing so that they can actually get it, so that they can actually have access to it. It don't help for you to have this amazing word or this amazing book or this amazing podcast that can help people, that can transform lives, and don't nobody know about it because you don't share it. You know how crazy that is? Don't be the best kept secret anymore. Let it out. Shout it from the rooftops. But seriously, don't allow yourself to allow any of these reasons, doubt, fear, people pleasing, comparison, whatever it might be. Don't allow it to keep you in a space where you don't share the thing that you know is not just for you. You know God has placed it in you to help other women. So other women or people. I know my stuff is specific to women. There are things that you may be doing that is not specific to women. That's perfectly fine too. Whatever it might be. Don't be the best kept secret in this season. Be intentional about not just doing what God has placed on the inside of you, but also sharing it accordingly. All right. I hope you all found this episode to be helpful. And until next time, don't forget, be whole, be healed, and be authentic. Bye. Thank you for tuning into a Change of Heart podcast. I hope you were encouraged, and please take a moment to share with a girlfriend. Also, I'd love to connect with you. You can follow me on Instagram at @AngelSharon_ and at A Change of Heart podcast. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel at Angel Sharon. Have an amazing week. And until next time, don't forget, be whole, be healed, and be authentic.